Today is a really special day. I want to show you something neat. Good afternoon, everybody. It's Mike, the Bowtie Writer. Happy Tuesday. So today I wanted to talk about something really special. Namely, I wanted to talk about my trunk. This box here, it contains the notes for early drafts and an actual printout of an early draft of my first big fantasy brick. I was starting college and I said, I'm gonna write a giant fantasy, and in 4 years I wrote a lot. That book failed. It did not work. I did not finish it. It certainly wasn't a book that I was ready to query, and frankly, if I ever did start querying it, it would have been an embarrassment. I managed to put that book in a trunk, in a box. A lot of authors have a trunk that's just sort of the quiet graveyard of discarded stories. I wanted to talk about that trunk, though, because even that language, like the graveyard of discarded stories, makes it sound so morbid and bad, and it's not at all. Every author should have a trunk, and it's actually a really good thing, and there's a couple of reasons why I really think that. Your trunk is a space for you to explore, for you to push the boundaries, for you to try stuff. At one point, I tried writing a thriller, which went about as well as you could expect. But the point is that I was able to try it in sort of a safe, controlled way without any expectation that it would ever see the light of day. And I still learned stuff from that process. Feel free to experiment. Feel free to try new things. You know, I write mostly sci-fi fantasy. My book is about giant robots punching giant robots, and it's awesome, by the way. It's great. Even that giant robot novel that I am thrilled with, it started out basically from my trunk as a little short story. I admit I misjudged that. It's now 95,000 words. The point is, had I not said, you know what, let me try just writing this little story, that novel wouldn't have even existed. The second thing that I want you to know about this trunk is that it's okay to fail. My trunk has a lot of things in it. I've got dozens of short stories and snippets and scenes that don't really stand alone, that just all don't work for a variety of reasons. I've got 7 novels in here. Although admittedly I have upgraded and I'm no longer quite so analog, so everything else is just in a file folder on my computer labeled trunk instead of physical trunks, because otherwise there would be literally thousands of pages in there. And every single one of those failed. And there was a time when I started every single one of those projects where I was going, this could be it. This could be the one that I finish, that I'm happy with, that I'm really ready to share with the world. And it didn't work out that way. Writing is a craft. It takes a lot of practice. Going from planning a first draft to getting all the way through to the end of that first draft, to revising it, to editing it, to polishing it. There is a lot of different components to it. And at some point, you've got to just dive in and try. Writing a good novel on your first outing is really hard. Even if you read a lot, the odds of successfully, completely landing and sticking your first book are incredibly small, because even if you read a lot, that's like trying to ski on your own for the first time and having just watched a bunch of Olympics skiing. Every single author on these shelves at one point or another wrote a story and it was crap and it ended up going into their trunk. And I wanted to have this conversation because I wanted to prepare you for the fact that as you're working on these stories, as you're learning the craft, you will probably fail. And I just want you to know that's okay. You're not a failure if you can't get to the end of that book. You're not a failure if you get lost in the middle and you pull your hair out and you're like, all right, that's it, I can't finish this book. I spent 4 years on this epic fantasy, and at the end of 4 years, not only did I have a book that was not finished, but I had a book that was just not good for a lot of reasons. The thing that I want you to know is that when you try to write a book, especially some of your first projects, you will probably fail. And those books are destined to live in your trunk. but that's okay. Your trunk is not a bad space to be. This is not the graveyard of discarded stories. This is evidence that you were trying and learning your craft. This is a portfolio of your growth as an artist, as a writer, as an author. That's all I wanted to talk about this week. Just have a little conversation, pull the box out from under the bed, and kind of flip through what's in there, because it brings back so many memories. And while, yeah, that book failed, I'm still happy looking back through those memories and kind of seeing me trying all these ambitious things. And it is so much better to try and fail than to be scared and never make the attempt. That's me for this week. What about you? What's down in your trunk? Let me know down below, because I'd be really curious to hear about you. Or feel free to reach out to me on Twitter. I'm still there entirely too much. My screen name is @BowtieWriter. Alright, that's it. That's all I have for this week. I am Mike the Bowtie Writer. I will see you all next time.